distance. It's dunked by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona. The Penguin is out. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to another exciting round of the Legacy Sports Car Series sponsored by Ledford Construction. Today, we're at the Virtual International Raceway, where we're going to go 45 minutes in this longer format race here today. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name is James East, bringing you to action 1080p, 60 frames a second. As our pace car makes its way underway, let's take a look at tonight's grid. You got Finley Fitzsimmons starting on pole, Tim Jonk starting second, Gareth McAllister third on the grid, Jack Forsey starting fourth, Craig Martin starting fifth, and then Joseph Penn will be starting sixth. But as we say that, it looks like Fitzsimmons is unable to get on the grid here today. So not quite sure what's happening, where the problems may lie for the Brit, as we're waiting to see if he can get back out on track. Not quite sure why we're having issues with that logo. There we go. So now it'll be Jonk and McAllister on the front row. McAllister racing an LMP2 for the first time this season. Odd to see the world-famous Australian outside of that Ferrari GT3 that we've seen him run for the duration so far this year. So as it looks like it's going to be Jonk, McAllister, Penn, Forsey, and Martin on the grid. Not sure what happened to Fitzsimmons, who again was scheduled to start on top of pole here today. But let's see what the competition can do around Virginia International Raceway. Quite the long pacing lap here at VIR. This track known for multiple configurations. A lot of different car clubs run here. Motorcycles, Moto America also running here as well. And each of those groups utilizing different track configurations. But today we're running the full course here at VIR. As they make their way down the backstretch, all eyes are still waiting to see if Fitzsimmons takes the grid or not. As we have 3 LMP2s that are out on track, 1 Daytona prototype, and 1 GT3 piloted by Craig Martin, the number 5 machine. As they make their way down the start-finish line straight, that iRacing Porsche will duck in by the Barnes and Garage here at VIR and send them back out. Pace car is in, away they go. It's Jonk and McAllister on the front row. Keep an eye on McAllister, the number 25 machine, his first ever appearance in the LMP2. As he is catching up to Jonk relatively quickly here. Not sure why it shows Forsey in the lead in the Daytona prototype, as he is 4th on track and 1st in class. Behind are 3 LMP2s of Jonk, McAllister, and Penn. Penn has hopped around a whole lot of different cars here so far this season. It looks like Fitzsimmons will get out on track late in today's race. And already Jonk having a great race, not having too many problems or issues here, putting the pedal down and making it go fast. But he's got McAllister just 1.2 seconds in tow. McAllister has about a 2.5 second gap on Joseph Penn. But look at that, McAllister catching the draft of Jonk here. These low downforce cars, if you can get in the wind tunnel behind your competition, you can make up some major ground here. Now Fitzsimmons will be starting about a lap down from the rest of the field. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with that number 6 machine. As, McAllister gets dangerously close to the outside line, coming down the start-finish line straight. Again, this is a 45-minute feature event, as we have often seen driver attrition really play a role out here. And Forsey coming down pit road. Jack Forsey, Daytona prototype. I wonder if he's going to be a stop and go with the only Daytona prototype out on track. Let's see if he takes that number 74 back out on the circuit or if he will retire for the evening. Joseph Penn still running comfortably in 3rd here today, as he has Fitzsimmons a lap down just ahead of him. And yes, we got confirmation from the crew of the number 74 Daytona prototype. Jack Forsey has retired from this event. So that's going to put us down to 5 drivers out on track, as it is Jonk, McAllister, Penn, and Martin on the lead lap. Fitzsimmons trying to crawl back from a 1 lap down deficit here today after being unable to make the grid. So far, no problems. We've seen early incidents plague this series early on this season, but the guys are doing a good job today, not having any issues or qualms. But right as I say that, Jonk may have had some sort of issues there, as I'm not sure what Lifetime is doing. Now it shows Craig Martin in the overall lead. I think Lifetime may be having a bit of a glitch in the matrix here. As I would be hard-pressed to imagine that Martin in the GT3 has somehow been able to pass the field here today. So right now it's still Jonk leading the LMP2s with McAllister in tow. McAllister running around about 3.9 seconds back from Jonk in the number 22 LMP2, but you got to give him credit for McAllister not really running these cars much, if at all, this season. Doing a good job staying with a driver that has been very fast and dominate for the duration. That last time by, McAllister was about 1.5 seconds off the pace of Tim Jonk. And just staying consistent. That's probably the biggest thing here at Legacy Sports Car Series that can bring you home a championship, is just consistency, consistency, consistency. But no, Penn has a big moment in the LMP2, goes careening around. Looks like he's able to keep it on track, pointing in the right direction. As up front, Jonk still fast and in charge. Fitzsimmons running third overall. And I'm trying to think, yes, that was Gareth McAllister getting around the GT3 driver of Craig Martin. But not even 10 minutes into this main event, and we've had all sorts of excitement as, again, Jack Forsey has retired early. Finley Fitzsimmons started a lap down, but it appears he is catching back up slowly but surely to Gareth McAllister running second. Fitzsimmons now about 8.4 seconds back off the second place Australian driver. But Fitzsimmons having all sorts of internet issues as well. Not sure what the connectivity of the British driver is doing tonight, but he's having a very rough go. But slowly gaining ground on the Australian driver. Fitzsimmons last time by, he's about 3 seconds a lap faster than McAllister. McAllister still running very quick here today. Still about 2.8 seconds off of Tim Jonk. Having a fantastic race here, all things considered. And up front, it is still Tim Jonk clicking off laps. So we've got 4 LMPs, LMP2 still out on track, as well as the lone GT3 driver of Craig Martin, the Canadian, and the number 5 BMW. But now Jonk starting to stretch his legs, extending that gap to over 3 seconds once more as he crosses the start-finish line, clicks off a 141. 3.46. McAllister with a 141.11. So it looks like McAllister maybe finding some time and getting a little bit more comfortable as this run progresses. Fitzsimmons with the blinking issue, still running about 6 seconds back from McAllister, gaining a little bit over 2 seconds per lap, but no, we've got problems as Joseph Penn sends it careening into pit road. As it looks like the GT3 driver of Craig Martin's going to follow him in there. So maybe a mistake accompanied by that early pit stop will bring Penn and Martin in. But let's see what the consistency shows for Tim Jonk, your overall leader in the LMP2. Not having any issues so far. Still maintaining about a 4-second lap. A 4-second gap advantage over McAllister. And we've got possible heartbreak. It looks like Fitzsimmons shows as a crash. Not sure, yes, the smoke in the back 90s showing the problems the Englishman has had, as now he's about 8 seconds back from McAllister. But as we were saying, this is a race of consistency. 10 minutes into the 45-minute feature event. And it just takes one lapse of judgment to send yourself into the wall, and your race is completely over. Joseph Penn and Craig Martin make their way out of pit road in tandem. As you watch the overall race leader, Tim Jonk, make his way by. Jonk really extending those track limits here at VIR. And you got to be careful in these Honda LMP2s as they are very high downforce cars. If you get a little bit of dirt on that tire, dip it too far in the grass, it is a very fast and easy way to send yourself careening to the cheap seats. But that being said, with these high downforce cars, the faster you can drive them, the happier they seem to be, staying glued to the track. But as he passes the big oak tree, that is one of those sections where the car gets a little bit unsettled. You're not getting the downforce down in the car, having to rely on the mechanical grip, and then things can get rapidly exciting. And we've got problems for McAllister. These LMP2s are not made for off-roading, able to keep it relatively pointing in the right direction before making his way back out on track. That is in the final corner here at VIR, and Fitzsimmons will take over second place from the Aussie. That is a dangerous place to be. These guys are hitting speeds of in excess of 175 miles an hour, crossing that start-finish line, the ever so slight right-hander kink in that straightaway. So now Fitzsimmons will take over second place from the Aussie. Still running about 11.5 seconds back from Tim Jonk when that internet issue is not plaguing him. Now last time by, Fitzsimmons was about a second a lap faster than Jonk. So it's going to take him about 10 more laps to try and catch up and maybe battle for the lead. It'll be interesting to see how the pit cycle affects these two drivers, as we still have 4 drivers out on the lead lap. It's going to be all of our LMP2s, Jonk, Fitzsimmons, McAllister, and Penn. Craig Martin still out charging hard, but he has an off track as well in that BMW, fighting to hold on to it. Now, we've seen this before with Andrew Neri early in the season, just not really happy with the performance of the BMW. From what we were being told, not a lot of data on the car, not a lot of setups available, so drivers having to come out here week in and week out, set up and engineer those cars to their liking. As speaking of off track, Joseph Penn says it's sliding around the number 12 DHL backed LMP2. And he will go a lap down to Tim Jonk, the same place that we saw McAllister with the bobble. Let's see where Fitzsimmons goes for the overtake here, as Penn still very far off track. And now penning it back to McAllister. Penn still hanging out in the grass on the left side of the track, maybe a little bit tentative to rejoin. Just waiting for the track to clear. So last time by, Fitzsimmons was once again a second faster than Jonk, whittling down that gap to about 9.8 seconds. But Fitzsimmons, those internet problems are plaguing him fiercely here today. But Jonk out front, staying absolutely consistent so far in his run, showing his 2 off tracks in the live timing and scoring tower, but nothing too radical for the number 22 machine. As such a pretty course to make your way around. Now, this is round 9 of our second season. Next week, we go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval at night. Then round 11, December 11th, we go to Laguna Seca, and then the season finale will be at Homestead Miami Speedway, Road Course B, to see who's going to secure the championship here today at the Legacy Sports Car Series. The field pretty stretched out here, as Jonk running still about 10 seconds ahead of Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons running about 10 seconds ahead of McAllister. Now we saw a slight off track from Fitzsimmons. That's allowed McAllister to gain about a second and a half here. As McAllister having a good bit of luck here. Now he's only about 9.5 seconds back from Fitzsimmons. So maybe Fitzsimmons and McAllister finding some pace here, as Tim Jonk has a big off track out front. The exact same final corner. Not sure what it is here at VIR that's really making these LMP2 drivers struggle. But that's allowed Fitzsimmons to close the gap to less than 5 seconds on this 11th lap. Not even at the halfway mark of today's event. So there is still some good racing left to come from our competitors. We're going to pan the camera back to Fitzsimmons to see if he can get that McDonald's back to LMP2 a little bit closer. Is it McDonald's back, or is Fitzsimmons maybe running a new paint scheme here today? I see the Michelin Man. I'm fairly certain he's to run the McDonald's painted LMP2. Supporting both, yes, McDonald's on the hood of that. Supporting both Fanatec as well as some other secondary sponsors on that machine. So Fitzsimmons, who started from pit row, still having a great night. He's going to quickly approach Craig Martin in the number 5 BMW. Martin leading the GT3 class, our only entry in the GT3 class. As he goes off track, trying to avoid the ire of the LMP2 and send it Tokyo drifting around. Ooh, just narrowly tags that inside wall. Is he going to take a tow back to pit road, or is he maybe waiting for somebody to pass here? As that was McAllister. Yes, he's waiting for McAllister to pass. So now Tim Jonk out front, still holding about a 5-second advantage over Fitzsimmons. Last time by, both those competitors were within 0.3 of each other on the lap. So very consistent as the tire wear starts to balance with the fuel load dropping. You kind of find an equilibrium on pace before the worn-out tires override the fuel saving and weight saving as the run progresses. Such a painfully slow section for our LMP2 drivers to make their way around. As you can see in the background, Fitzsimmons starting to get within striking distance here. Down the back stretch on one of the alternative circuits they run here at VIR. Oh no, and Jonk sends it sliding around. Fitzsimmons will take over the race lead here as Tim Jonk with a massive bobble in the number 22 Honda LMP2. He will come out on track, I believe about 2.5 seconds behind Fitzsimmons. As Fitzsimmons takes the opportunity to come down pit road, so he will not get a lap led here at VIR. Jonk will hold on to it another time by. As we get closer and closer to the halfway mark now, as we're going to see drivers start to initiate those pit cycles. So this is going to be interesting to see how the pit cycles affect these drivers. Fitzsimmons in and out of his box in less than 10 seconds, a total time of 31.33 seconds spent on pit road. As Jonck is about 24 seconds ahead of that number 6 LMP2, who very briefly held the lead here at VIR despite starting a lap down. It's going to be extremely interesting to see how the pit cycles shake things up here today. McAllister still running about 13.4 seconds behind your race leader and LMP2 leader, Tim Jonck. As both Jonck and McAllister have yet to box here today. As Jonck continues to stay out, not wanting to box just quite yet. He's going to try and get comfortably to that halfway mark. As the longer he can stay out now, the less fuel he will have to take on that pit stop. Now we are 22 minutes into this 45-minute feature event. As Fitzsimmons looks like he's getting a little bit closer to McAllister. McAllister is still running second in that number 25 LMP2. Ooh, giving that back end a bit of a shimmy. These low downforce sections here at Virginia really making these guys struggle. But McAllister, as far as his lap times go, extremely consistent, clicking off 1 minute 40s compared to the 140s of Jonck, who's also just very, very smooth here. We saw Jonck with that big bobble that briefly allowed Fitzsimmons to take over the race lead. And then Fitzsimmons used that opportunity to come at diving down pit road for his one scheduled stop of the day. Again, this should be a one-stop race for all of our drivers, barring any sort of tragedy out on track. As Jonck uses this opportunity to come diving down pit road, McAllister stays out. And Fitzsimmons has already completed his pit stop of the night, so where is Fitzsimmons going to come out on track compared to Jonck? He will have taken over the position. As Jonck still in pit road, he's been in his box for over 5 seconds longer than Fitzsimmons did. Fitzsimmons had a 9.77 second pit stop. Tim Jonck had a 16.73. Joseph Penn, he came in on lap, I believe it was 5 for a pit stop. He was in there for 19 seconds. So I can't imagine he will have enough fuel to make it till the end here. And now Jonck will come out about 20 seconds behind McAllister, your new race leader, and about 12.5 seconds behind Fitzsimmons running in second. But McAllister has yet to box here today, with 20 minutes left to go in this main event. I'm curious to see why Jonck was in pit road so much longer. Maybe overfueled the car. I can't imagine he took tires on that pit stop. And when is McAllister going to come in at the halfway mark? He will stay out, get another lap, still about 6.3 seconds ahead of Fitzsimmons in second. And a little over 13 seconds ahead of Jonck, who's already completed his pit stop. Again, McAllister has yet to stop here. And last time by, Fitzsimmons was about 2 seconds a lap faster. So in the next 3 laps or so, barring a pit stop from McAllister, you may see a battle for the lead as McAllister comes upon Craig Martin in that number 5 BMW. Our lone GT3 entry out clicking off laps, getting faster week in and week out. Now Fitzsimmons about 5.7 seconds off the bumper of a McAllister. Making their way down the backstretch. Now the question is, are we going to see a battle for the leaders? McAllister going to dive down pit road and give it to Fitzsimmons uncontested here. McAllister still about 20 seconds ahead of Jonk. So I believe with an optimal pit stop, he'll be about 10 seconds behind the number 22 machine, Tim Jonk. And yes, McAllister will come down pit road. Fitzsimmons will take over the race lead and the number 6. Well, let's see where Tim Jonk's going to be compared to McAllister, who's on pit road. Craig Martin also takes the opportunity to come down pit road as well. McAllister hits his box. Tim Jonk passes McAllister, who's in the pits. McAllister in and out of his box in 12.5 seconds compared to the 16.7 of Jonk and the 9.8 of Fitzsimmons. So he will come out on track just about 11 seconds behind Jonk, running second place. Fitzsimmons still out front with 14.5 seconds after those green flag stops have finished up. And it shows a Craig Martin off track. I think that may have been in turn 1. The sweeping right-hander. Yes, it was. So Martin may have pushed a little bit too deep there. Not sure if he took tires as he was in his pit stall for almost 40 seconds. But again, talking to the other drivers this season, those BMWs have been extremely tough on tires. And Joseph Penn has an off track as well, the number 12 LMP2. Penn still holding on to 4th overall and 4th in class in that LMP2. Penn normally acting as race control. But getting the opportunity to run laps when he can. Fitzsimmons, your race leader, clicks off the fastest lap of the race with a 139.01. But those internet issues have been very, very tough on the English driver. And McAllister had a bit of a bobble as well, as now he's about 17.5 seconds back from Tim Jonk running second. Craig Martin has a big moment as well in the BMW. And sends it off-roading ever so slightly in the red and yellow number 5 machine. McAllister having another of a bobble out of the final corner here at VIR, but he's gaining ground on Jonk, now only about 16.7 seconds back. But Jonk finds himself about 18 back from Fitzsimmons. Now this is where the consistency comes into play for our drivers. If Fitzsimmons doesn't have any bobbles, he's looking good to bring home a win, but that internet issue has got to be worrisome for both himself and all parties involved, as if he blinks for just too long, he will find himself removed from the race and sent back to pit road. As we pan the camera back to your race leader, Finley Fitzsimmons. Having a very successful, clean race here, but looked like almost a bit of a bobble as he was hard on the brakes. Pushing very, very wide there, and again, the internet issues really striking the English driver in turn one. That LMP2 looked all sorts of unsettled, as I believe Fitzsimmons is out there trying to hot lap to his heart's desire. Jonk still running second, about 20 seconds off from Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons has been about a second a lap faster over the duration of this run. As Fitzsimmons has also been on this stint for about 2 laps longer than Jonk. Jonk came in on lap 14 compared to Fitzsimmons lap 12. McAllister really stretched it out 16 laps in the opening run. It'll be interesting to see how that affects these drivers if things go on. Jonk gaining a little bit of time as Fitzsimmons has a very brief off track. We want to show Fitzsimmons more on the broadcast, but with the connectivity issues, it is very stuttery and staccato. As we check back in with Craig Martin, our lone GT3 out on track here today, looking strong in number 5. Has been really working on his consistency, as unfortunately he pushes wide in turn 1. I wonder if that is the tire management we were talking about out of the BMW drivers. Their biggest complaint this season is that it's just absolutely eating up these tires. Martin 3 laps down from the leaders, but still staying out and trying his best to improve on his racecraft. And I believe at this point just really fighting the car in the closing 10 minutes of today's main event. As Tim Jonk is going to make his way around the GT3 driver, Martin swings wide to make it easy as Jonk comes charging through the field once more, still about 21 seconds back from your race leader. But Jonk, again, very consistent. His fastest lap of the race was a 1:39.98. His last time by a 1:40.85. So able to really keep the consistency here today. Penn with a bit of a bobble in that number 12 machine, able to hold on to it though, keep it pointing in the right direction and avoid any damage on that LMP2. Hopefully there wasn't too much grass affecting him in the final corner, and he's actually going to come back down pit road, locking up the brakes to avoid getting hit with a speeding penalty. As Jonk will put Penn another lap down, I believe. So it is 3 drivers on the lead lap, Fitzsimmons, Jonk, and McAllister. your 3 fastest drivers in the LMP2s. As Penn gets back out on track after 19.5 seconds in his pit stall. That is his 3rd stop of the night. As Martin once again finds himself in the weeds here in sunny Virginia. A combination of tire management, frustration, and trying to avoid lap traffic. I believe that was McAllister that just made his way around the GT3. Yes, it was. But again, gotta commend McAllister's first time in this Honda LMP2, having a great run. We saw a couple mistakes out of the Australian driver early on, but getting faster and more consistent as this run develops. McAllister hard on the brakes. Still about 14.8 seconds off of Tim Jonk. Jonk is about 23 seconds back from your race leader Fitzsimmons in the closing 7 minutes of today's main event. Penn comes back down pit road for his 4th stop of the day. I'm almost curious to see if that LMP2 is going to retire the number 12 machine. No, he gets back out on track, and no, Tim Jonk with a big bobble around the oak tree. The number 22 machine keeps it off the wall just ever so narrowly. Not a lot of runoff on the track here, and that is that portion of the circuit we're talking about where you can really, really upset these LMP2s. They like how high downforce. And look at this, Fitzsimmons comes back down pit road. The race leader, who was 30 seconds ahead, comes back down. And comes in for a stop. What is going on here today, ladies and gentlemen? Fitzsimmons rolls back out after 7 seconds in his pit stall. A very odd thing to see here today. I'm not sure what just happened, as he will come out on track just about 7 seconds ahead of Jonk. But I'm curious to see how much tires Tim and the number 22 machine will have here today after sliding around in that LMP2. Fitzsimmons-Terra connection just absolutely atrocious. So we're going to pan the camera back to Tim Jonk, let you ride on board. As you can hear how tentative Jonk is on the throttle on that LMP2 through the slower sections of the track. Now VIR, just pictured on the left side of the track, has a bunch of apartments you can actually stay at while you're racing around the track. They've got it featured on the left side, I guess now on the right side of the track as well. The start-finish line, those balconies overlooking the start-finish line straight. Apartments where you can stay at for the race weekend. As that is a lap around VIR with Tim Jonk, the pod number 22 machine, about 4 seconds off the pace from Fitzsimmons. but not a lot of time left to do anything with it. So it's going to be interesting to see if a battle for the lead shapes up here. And unfortunately, Jonk will throw it off track once more, just ever so slightly. That may allow Fitzsimmons to extend that gap. Fitzsimmons still about 3.8 seconds ahead of Jonk. So unless we see a major mistake by Fitzsimmons in the final laps here at VIR, I would wager this is his event to win. But this is also where you can see some mistakes out of these two drivers, as they know it is the closing laps. Not a lot of time left to make anything happen, as both Penn and Martin come down pit road for the final time. But again, this is where you're going to see Jonk driving his heart out. He's got to be careful not to overdrive the car and put himself in a precarious position. Fitzsimmons last time by a 140.48. Jonk with a 140.6. So Fitzsimmons only 0.2 faster than Jonk that last time by. But Fitzsimmons had a big off track while blinking. That allows Jonk to take over the race lead. 2.4 seconds ahead of Fitzsimmons. We are going to have a race here in the final laps. Fitzsimmons with that internet problem trying to catch up to Jonk as quickly as he can. You can see the red and black number 6 of Fitzsimmons in the background, as the green and white number 22 of Jonk going to try and hold on to it here. Now it is Jonk that must be the absolute most consistent. As I believe we're going to have one more lap to go after this. I don't think the white flag will fly by the time Jonk and Fitzsimmons make it to the start-finish line. It's going to be close. Jonk hoping the white flag will fly, so that makes one less lap. He will have to defend against Fitzsimmons, who now has a 1.3 second gap to the race leader, Tim Jonk. Jonk comes around the final corner down to the start-finish line straight. And they are indeed going to run another lap, so the white flag will fly this time by. Jonk still 2 seconds ahead of Fitzsimmons, leading him into turn 1. Let's see, looks like Jonk extending that gap to about 2.3 seconds here in the closing laps. Fitzsimmons, though, with a big off track, able to keep it off the wall and keep the momentum forward, but that is going to possibly lock things up from Jonk if he does not make any mistakes. He's looking good to, I believe this would be his first ever Legacy win. No, I am incorrect in that. Jonk actually won last week at Road America, so he's going to try and make it 2 in a row here at Virginia. Fitzsimmons down to about 3.6 seconds, 3.5 seconds, closing fast. But the checkered flag will indeed fly. Tim Jonk brings home the overall win as well as the Honda LMP2 class win here at VIR. Getting it at the very end. Fitzsimmons, I think, just went off track. Now he's just celebrating for the fans. But it will be Tim Jonk bringing home the win here today. We'll pull up the overall results. As it will be Jonk. It shows McAllister. Not sure what happened there. And Fitzsimmons third, Joseph Penn fourth, Craig Martin fifth, and Jack Forsey will bring it home sixth after quite a wild evening here at Virginia International Raceway. On behalf of the Legacy Sports Car Series as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Have a great night, everyone.